We turn now to House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. Congressman, you're usually in your home state in California when we talk to you, so we like having you here in person in snowy D.C.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to get to this Washington Post report before we talk about the shutdown. It says that the president has tried to conceal the substance of his conversations with Vladimir Putin, even taking away the notes from his translator, who sat in, the interpreter in the room during their talks. Does it concern you that there's no public record of what the president discussed with Vladimir Putin, the leader of the country that interfered in the 2016 elections?
Well, Margaret, what I do know is what this administration, this Congress has done. We've been very tough on Russia. Look at the sanctions that we have taken. With this administration, one on the election meddling that Russia has done, the movement of Russia inside Ukraine as well. And I just listened to the president last night. He's more than willing to have it open to what that discussion was about, he said on a news show last night. But I know what the president likes to do. He likes to create a personal relationship, build that relationship, even rebuild that relationship like he does with other world leaders around.
But this was keeping the record of the conversation from the national security advisor, the person who is supposed to be the top advisor to the president.
Well, in hearing the president last night on the show, he says he was more than willing to let that information go out. So that's what I know is right now.
Does Congress want to see any of this or speak to the interpreter?
I'd like the president to be able to build these relationships. I know this administration, and I know this Congress is very tough on Russia, and we will continue to be so. But I want this president to be able to build a relationship, even on a personal level, with all the world leaders as well.
I know you speak to the president. Have you ever asked him about this?
I haven't asked him about this situation yet because it just came out. But I did talk to the president yesterday about the shutdown. I know this president is focused on giving this government open. That's why the president is here. That's why I'm here in Washington. The challenge has been from the very beginning. The president has made numerous offers about this shutdown, reasonable too, moving further to the Democratic side. And there has not been one offer coming back from the Democrats. It is unacceptable that 800,000 U.S. employees are not being paid. You know what we're arguing over? 0.1% of the federal budget. And it's not as though we're asking Democrats to do something they haven't done before. They voted for border wall and fencing. We have Democrats, even the new progressives from California. Katie Hill says she would vote for a wall. You had the chairman.
Defining the barrier is the point that you're kind of stuck on right now.
I would take the language we had voted on before. The president even said he would add in no concrete.
Act of 2006?
No, just the appropriations bills that we'd taken prior. That would allow us to do the job that needs to be done. You know the chairman of Armed Services? He actually says walls work, and he was supportive of it. We had our own former president, President Obama in 2014, said there was a crisis on the border.
Right.
The new governor of California, Gavin Newsom, used it in his inaugural address, said there is a crisis along the border. The only people who believe there is not is Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer.
Well, they agree in border security funding and offered $1.3 billion for that. It's the how it's spent that it seems to be you're disagreeing on.
Well, who in America believes in border security doesn't have some form of a barrier? Because I've heard Democrats say they want a form of a barrier. The president has moved from a concrete to a steel barrier. So I've watched this president look for compromise. There just has been no compromise on the other side.
But should you reopen the government while you have this argument?
We can't have this government reopened. The president is correct. Less than 45 minutes.
So you would have some sort of CR to open the government and then continue the immigration
argument? I've been in every single one of those meetings. I watched the president turn to Nancy Pelosi and say, okay, if I reopen the government right now in 30 days, could we have border security? She said no, not at all. So that is the real challenge. Who is holding this government up? Senator Schumer and Speaker Pelosi.
Well, the federal government workers are the people paying the price right now. And you have 10,000 of them in your district. So what do you tell them? When are they going to get paid?
That is unacceptable. That's why I'm here right now. I'm not in Puerto Rico. I'm here because I want to solve this problem. And you know what is happening?
Do you have a way to pay those workers while you continue the argument over immigration?
We just voted on Friday and sent it to the president-in-law to make sure they are being paid when this is done. What we need to have happen...
But for those living paycheck to paycheck now matters.
Yeah, that's unacceptable. And where has the president been this whole time? What those constituents and what your viewers need to understand, before we ever got to this point, when the Republicans had the House, they moved a bill to the Senate. In the Senate, it takes 60 votes. Senator Schumer would not come to a compromise. He would not even come for a vote. He left. When we sat during that break before the new swearing in...
Do you oppose the president declaring a national emergency, since what you're describing sounds like you're not going anywhere?
You know what?
Because he's talked about possibly using money that would be allocated to California for disaster relief. That's your home state.
The Emergency Act exists for these type of circumstances. But one thing I will tell you, we should solve this legislatively. I agree with what the president said on Friday. We need to solve this legislatively.
So it sounds like you don't want him to declare an emergency.
It's 0.1% of the federal budget. If we cannot do this together, what else can we not do in the future? This is not that big of a problem. Democrats in the past have voted for fencing and for wall. Why now do they disagree? Because it's President Trump? I think the American public understands this. We can solve this in minutes, and these workers should be able to be paid. It only takes a few minutes inside the meetings. But when the Democrats will not even make a counteroffer, it's unacceptable.
I want to ask you about Iowa Republican Congressman Steve King. You called some of his language reckless when he, in an interview with the New York Times, said the term white nationalist and white supremacist. He didn't know when they became offensive. Some Republicans have come out very strongly here. Jeb Bush said it's not enough to condemn him, that party leaders actually have to do something, either support a primary opponent to challenge him. Others have said he should be at least censured. Should there be action against Congressman King?
First and foremost, I came out at the very moment. That language has no place in America. That is not the America I know, and it's most definitely not the party of Lincoln.
Should he be punished for it?
I have a scheduled meeting with him on Monday, and I will tell you this. I've watched on the other side that they do not take action when their members say something like this. Action will be taken. I'm having a serious conversation with Congressman Steve King on his future and role in this Republican Party.
What does that mean?
Because as a leader, there is a number of things you'll see that has taken place. But I will not stand back as a leader of this party, believing in this nation that all are created equal, that stands or continues to stand and have any role with us.
Thank you very much, Congressman. We'll be back in a moment with more Face the Nation.